Today I am going to show you some practice for three-point perspective. Now, three-point perspective can be a little confusing. Here we go. Basically, just like with 1- and 2-point perspective, you do want to create a horizon line. Now, I am making my horizon line a little higher up on my paper here. I'm using a dry erase board, but you will use paper. And I'm doing that because I'm going to do a lot more work below the horizon line. So this is my 2 vanishing points. So this would be appropriate if I'm doing 2-point perspective. I'm doing 3 points. So that third vanishing point, you have to make it roughly about the middle of your horizon line. Go ahead and go way down here. That's going to be vanishing point number 3. So you kind of create a triangle. Okay, so if I'm going to make some cubes or rectangular prisms here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my ruler up. Always use a ruler when doing perspective, and I'm going to make a vertical line right above this vanishing point. And this is going to be like the part of the box that's protruding out at us. So from there, I will go ahead and make kind of a letter V at the top of this line that meet at the vanishing points. Make sure your ruler meets at the point. Do not put your ruler here and draw your line out to here, because if you notice, that line does not meet at the point, and that becomes a problem later on if you don't have that appropriate. So erase that. If you do something like that, make sure your ruler meets at the point, meets at wherever it needs to go. Okay, so I have that. Now I want to do that same thing here at the bottom. When you do this on paper, make sure you draw light, because you're going to do a lot of erasing with perspective. All right, so we have something like this to turn this into like a cube kind of shape. So I'm going to mark how big I want my cube. So remember, this is the corner. These are going to be the edges. Now, if this were 2-point perspective, I would just make vertical lines. This is not 2-point perspective. This is 3-point. So this is where that third point comes into play. Here, you want to line up your ruler to that bottom vanishing point and draw a line. Same over here. Now, at the top, to make the top appear 3D, like we're above this box, you take your ruler, and this side on the left, that is actually going to move to the vanishing point on the right, and this one's going to move to the one on the left. So I line my ruler up, point to point, and again, and there I have a 3-dimensional shape. So now I can erase these guidelines here, and you're able to see this look very 3D, and like we are above it, it's going down into space. Okay, so now if I want to get really fancy, I can start doing some more. This is where you might get confused, so really pay attention. So if you notice this line here, right, this was the corner that's protruding out at us. To make that again, I'm going to go over here to the right, and I am going to make that line meet my bottom vanishing point. Okay, so this line here is the same as this line here. The difference is this one's right in the middle, so it's vertical. Now we're moving to the side, so they have to start becoming diagonal. Now, from here, what I would do is I would go ahead and make that letter V at the top of the line, just like you did with the first one. So this one goes to the right, this one goes to the left. Now determine how big you want this box to be. Now, this one is going to be in front, because I'm going to make my box go to here and then maybe here. All right, so these lines, again, you have to make those go to the bottom vanishing point. Now, I don't want to go inside of this box, so I'm just lining the ruler up as if I'm going to draw a line straight through, but I'm not. I'm just going to draw that little line there, but I know it will meet at that point. And then this one, I get to draw the whole line because nothing's in front of it, and I just go ahead and draw it to this bottom line here. Okay. Again, at the top, you want to go opposite directions. So this goes to the right, this goes to the left. Okay, you can see I'm getting really, really close. The only thing that looks a little strange is kind of the bottom here. So right here, I am going to line my ruler up with the vanishing point on the left. And I'm going to make a little line, whoop, right there, and there we go. Now I've created another form. And again, I could do that same exact thing on the left side. And what kind of happens here is it starts to look like a cityscape, like buildings. So I start with this line, this version of that line, but now it has to be diagonal. I make my letter V at the top going to the vanishing points. I determine how big I want this to be. That now needs to go to the bottom vanishing point. And then I crisscross the top. Oops, I forgot the bottom. Okay, so from there, now I can erase all the lines I don't need. And then I'm just left with these three-dimensional forms that I have created. And that, my friends, is three-point perspective. Now, you can do three-point perspective the other way, so where you can do a horizon line more at the bottom of your paper and make your vanishing point here at the top. And it would be very, very similar. All right, so there is an example of three-point perspective just going the opposite way, so you can kind of see how that works. I want you to notice I did not use a ruler on this part because I was just kind of doing it very loosely. When you guys create your own work, please use a ruler. I insist, actually, you use one. Otherwise, it's just going to look a little sloppy. The ruler is going to give you the nice crisp edges. Okay, so there is some practice on three-point perspective.